Taxes. Man, nobody wants to talk about taxes, except that we need to talk about taxes because we're 2.6 billion in the hole. So we are, and among the Ways and Means Democrats anyway, we are now discussing how we can best fill the tax loopholes first. First order of business is not to extend an existing tax, not to add to the tax base, but rather to cut out the loopholes, many of which were placed in the tax code back in the 1940s, 50s, 60s, at the request of some industry, you know, the gold bullion industry, or the fish cleaners, or the fertilizer sellers, you know, agriculture is big on this. Without extending a tax, without increasing a tax, just clean up the loopholes. Then find out how many million we've benefited. Subtract that from 2.6 billion, and then we have a target that we will have to hit by other means. Then we can start talking about increasing other taxes bases or increasing rates. I think what the people really need first is to know that everybody's paying these taxes. That with the exception of those loopholes or those breaks that really do benefit the state in the long run, really do create jobs, really do bring businesses into the state. With the exception of those, everybody else is pulling equally. Once citizens know that, I think we can then start talk about increases in tax rates. When we do, let's get off of the retail sales tax. We are not going to tax poor people more than 9.8%, which is what we already have. Businesses, I think we can reach by extending the base of that retail sales tax to include services typically used by businesses. Accountants, engineers, consultants, lobbyists, architects, yeah, we can do that. And yes, lawyers, and I am one, and yes, we will do that. Then I think what we need to do is look at the B&O. B&O, and I can say this as a young lawyer, I started my law practice, I paid the same B&O as the lawyer down the hall who was making a profit when I wasn't. And we were paying the same tax because it's on the gross receipts. I think we need to put some deductions in there. For example, the first X number of $1,000 of gross receipts are exempt and only on the remainder. Let people begin to earn a profit before they pay a tax. And secondly, some deductions that make sense, that are common to all small businesses, you know, the rent, the light, the heat. So that this begins to look more and more like a tax on profits rather than a tax on gross receipts, which is so anti-startup. Beyond that, no, we are not going to hold our breath and wait for this legislature to create an income tax for very high earners, call it a high earners tax. People earning $250,000 or $500,000 or more. Those people have not paid their way. They have not pulled their weight. And these are people who have benefited from the state services. They have gone to state schools. They've sent their kids to schools. Their companies use state highways, and you know, they hire from high schools that educate their children. They benefit from all of the taxes that other people pay and have not paid commensurately with them. We need to do that, and I think we need to do it soon. And people need to know that ultimately we're being fair. Wealthy people will pay their share. Businesses in some arcane, you know, in some field will not be given a deduction that most people don't have. Thanks.